The stars looked like tiny diamonds against the black cloth of space as Captain William Gray stood on the bridge of the Artemis *. His ship, the pride of Earth's defense force, cut through the darkness at the edge of human territory. The captain's blue eyes narrowed as he studied the view screen. "Sir, we're picking up something unusual," said Officer Kyle Bennett, his fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "Multiple objects approaching from Sector 7. William walked over to Kyle's station. "Show me." The screen changed to display several red dots moving toward their position. William felt a chill run down his spine. In his 15 years of service, he had never seen a formation like this. "Get Science Officer Martinez up here now," he ordered. Minutes later, Lisa Martinez rushed onto the bridge, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes widened as she looked at the screen. "Captain, those ships match no known design in our database," she said, tapping commands to enhance the image. "But the energy signatures suggest extremely advanced technology." She paused, her face growing pale. "Sir, I believe we're looking at the Kronos Empire fleet." The bridge fell silent. Everyone had heard stories about the Kronos, a vast alien civilization that had conquered over 300 star systems, but they had always been just that, stories from distant galaxies. "Are you certain?" William asked, his voice steady despite the weight of her words. Lisa nodded. "The energy patterns match intelligence reports. The Kronos have arrived at our doorstep." William straightened his uniform. "Open a channel to Earth Command, then prepare to intercept." Before they could act, their communication officer, Julie West, called out, "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel." "On screen," William ordered. The view screen flickered, revealing a tall figure with gray skin and 4 yellow eyes. Its mouth was a thin line across a face covered in what looked like small scales. "People of Earth," the alien said, its voice deep and cold. "I am High Commander Grekthor of the Kronos Empire. Your planets now belong to us. Surrender immediately and accept your place as our newest subjects. Resistance will result in destruction." William signaled to Commander Ethan Powell, his diplomatic officer. Ethan stepped forward, his calm presence filling the bridge. "High Commander," Ethan said with a slight bow. "We welcome peaceful contact with all species, but Earth and its colonies are sovereign territory. Perhaps we can discuss." The alien made a sound like rocks grinding together. A laugh. "There is nothing to discuss. The Kronos Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. You will submit or be eliminated. You have one Earth day to decide." William stepped forward. "Before you make threats, you should know that humans do not surrender easily. We have defended our home against threats before." All 4 of the aliens' eyes blinked at once. "Your species is young and weak. Our scans show your technology is far behind ours. You are just another primitive race to add to our collection." William's face hardened. "You would not be the first to underestimate humans. For your own sake, reconsider." The alien commander made the grinding laugh again. "Your bravery is amusing but pointless. Prepare for your new life as subjects of the Empire, or extinction. The choice is yours." The screen went dark. William turned to his crew, their faces showing a mix of fear and determination. "Send a message to Earth Command. We need the fleet." He then looked back at the view screen where the alien ships were now clearly visible. "Send one more message to the Kronos," he said, his voice steady and cold. "What should it say, Captain?" asked Julie. William's eyes never left the screen as he replied, "Tell them, we advise you to reconsider. For your own sake. Pray you never discover why." The message was sent. The first shots of a war no one wanted, but everyone had prepared for, were about to be fired. Admiral Zara Kent strode through the steel corridors of Earth Defense Headquarters, her boots clicking against the floor. People moved aside as she passed. Her face showed no emotion, but her mind raced with worry. The message from Captain Gray had reached Earth 6 hours ago. Now, the entire planet prepared for war. Zora entered the war room where General Daniel Morrison waited. His gray hair and lined face showed his many years of service. Maps and data filled the large screens around them. "Admiral," Daniel said, nodding to her, "what Captain Gray found changes everything." Zora looked at the largest screen showing the Cronus fleet. "How many ships?" "Over 200 in the first wave alone," Daniel replied. "Our intelligence suggests they have thousands more. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. Zora's expression remained steady. "Numbers aren't everything." Daniel pressed a button, and new images appeared. "This is what we know about their weapons. Their shields can stop most of our standard attacks." Zora studied the data. Humans had fought wars against each other for thousands of years. They had become very good at it. But the Cronus had technology beyond anything Earth had seen before. "What about Project Prometheus?" she asked. Daniel looked around to make sure they were alone, then pressed another button. The door slid open at the back of the room. Dr. Gregory Adams walked in. His white lab coat was wrinkled, and dark circles under his eyes showed he hadn't slept in days. "Dr. Adams, tell Admiral Kent what you've been working on," Daniel said. Gregory nodded. "We've been studying alien technology for decades. Project Prometheus isn't just a weapon. It's something the Cronus won't expect." He showed them plans for strange devices. "These can bypass their shields completely." "Will it be enough?" Zora asked. Gregory shrugged. "Maybe not to win, but enough to surprise them." Miles away, on the Cronus command ship, Emperor Vorthax received reports about Earth. His 4 yellow eyes scanned the information while his advisors waited nervously. "This planet is nothing special," Vorthax said. "They have never united for war against an outside enemy. They fight among themselves constantly." One advisor, Meckler, stepped forward. "Emperor, our scouts report something unusual. In past conquests, we detected fear from our targets. These humans show anger instead." Vorthax waved a gray hand dismissively. "All creatures showed defiance at first. They will break like all the others." "There is more," Meckler continued. "Our spies report they have faced alien threats before. Small ones, but they won each time. They may have technologies we haven't seen." Vorthax slammed his fist down. "Enough. Begin the attack. Take their outer planets first." Near Neptune, a small human outpost floated in space. Lieutenant Ryan Peterson watched as 5 Cronus ships appeared on his radar. His small crew of 12 people knew what was coming. "Send the message," Ryan told his communications officer. "Tell them we're under attack." The Cronus ships fired. The outpost shook violently. Walls cracked and alarms blared. "Our weapons aren't working," someone shouted. Ryan made a quick decision. "Everyone to the escape pods." As his crew ran, he stayed at the main computer. His fingers flew across the controls as he gathered all the data he could about the Cronus weapons and shields. He sent the information to Earth in a tight burst transmission. The outpost shook again. The Cronus were boarding now. Ryan started the self-destruct sequence. 10 seconds. "You want our technology," he whispered. "You can't have it." The outpost exploded in a bright flash. The Cronus ships continued toward Earth, not realizing the vital information Ryan had sent. On Earth, Zora received the data. She looked at Daniel and Gregory. "We've lost 2 outposts," she said, "but we know more about them now. And they still know nothing about us." Daniel nodded. "Let's keep it that way as long as possible." "Prepare our forces," Zora ordered. "The real fight is about to begin." Red dust swirled around the Mars colony as Cronus ships filled the sky. People ran for shelter as buildings crumbled under the alien attack. The human defenders fought back, but their weapons barely damaged the enemy ships. Admiral Zara Kent watched the battle from her command center on Earth. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands tightened into fists. "Order all Mars forces to fall back," she commanded. "Evacuate as many civilians as possible." "But Admiral," a young officer protested, If we retreat from Mars, we'll look weak. Zara turned to him. Sometimes appearing weak is a strategy, Lieutenant. Let them think we're running away. On the main Kronos battleship, Commander Dreskor watched with satisfaction as human ships flood from Mars. See how they run, he told his officers. These humans are cowards, just as the Emperor said. One officer looked uncertain. Sir, they're retreating in perfect order, almost like they planned it. Dreskor laughed. They are simply organized cowards. Prepare the next attack. We move toward Earth in 2 days. Back on Earth, Chief Engineer Olivia Clark worked in a large underground facility. Sweat covered her face as she and 50 other engineers modified Earth's remaining ships. The heat shielding won't hold with these new power levels, one engineer said. Olivia wiped her forehead. It doesn't need to hold forever. It just needs to hold long enough. She pointed to a strange device that pulsed with blue light. Dr. Adams' technology will change everything. The Kronos think our ships are weak. They're in for a surprise. In another part of the facility, Ambassador Alan Wright prepared for his mission. He was a tall man with kind eyes and graying hair. You understand what we're asking? President Susan Miller asked him. This is dangerous. The Kronos might not let you return. Alan nodded. I understand. But we must try one more time for peace. Hours later, Alan's small ship approached the Kronos fleet with white flags showing on all sides. To his surprise, they allowed him to dock with Commander Dreskor's ship. Dreskor was tall, with gray skin that looked like stone. His 4 yellow eyes watched Alan with amusement. So the humans send a peace messenger, Dreskor said. Have you come to surrender? Alan stood straight. I've come with a warning, Commander. There is still time to avoid what's coming. Return to your territory, and we can establish peaceful relations. Dreskor circled Alan slowly. Why would we leave when victory is so close? Your planets are falling one by one. Because what you've seen isn't what we are, Alan replied. What comes next isn't something we want, but something you'll force us to become. Dreskor laughed, a sound like rocks crashing together. Big words from a losing side. History teaches us that humans become most dangerous when cornered, Alan said quietly. For your sake, I hope you never learn this lesson firsthand. Dreskor's amusement turned to anger. Enough. Return to your planet and prepare for our arrival. This is your only warning. When Alan returned to Earth, he went directly to President Miller's office. His face was grim. They won't listen, he reported. War is inevitable now. President Miller nodded slowly. Then we have no choice. She pressed a button on her desk. General Morrison, Admiral Kent, Dr. Adams, it's time. Activate Operation Reckoning. Across Earth and the Moon, hidden facilities came to life. Weapons that had been kept secret for decades were powered up. On the dark side of the Moon, massive doors opened in the surface, revealing shipyards with vessels unlike any the Kronos had seen. All my life, I've worked for peace, President Miller said as she watched the preparations from her window. Now I must lead us in war. Alan stood beside her. The Kronos had their chance. They chose not to pray. The massive Kronos fleet entered Earth's orbit with weapons ready. From their view screens, Earth looked small and blue, an easy target. Commander Dreskor smiled as he counted only 20 human ships waiting for them. His fleet had over 200 vessels. Look how few defenders they have, Dreskor said to his officers. Their surrender will come quickly. One of his officers pointed to a familiar ship at the front of the human formation. Sir, that's the Artemis *, the same ship that first warned us. Dreskor narrowed his 4 yellow eyes. Open a channel to that vessel. On the Artemis *, Captain William Gray received the incoming message. His crew looked tense but ready. Put it on screen, William ordered. Dreskor's gray face appeared. Captain, you stand no chance against us. Surrender now, and your people may live as our servants. William's face showed no fear. We've been expecting you, Commander. I suggest you look around carefully." Dresscore laughed. "At what? Your pathetic fleet." William checked his watch. "No, at what you've been missing." At that moment, on the dark side of the moon, Dr. Gregory Adams stood in a control room deep inside a hidden base. Screens around him showed the Cronus fleet. "Activate Project Prometheus," Gregory said. His team pressed buttons and pulled levers. The floor rumbled as enormous machines came to life. On the moon's surface, hidden doors slid open, revealing weapons larger than buildings. Back in space, Dresscore's officers shouted in alarm. "Commander, energy readings from the moon." Before Dresscore could respond, beams of bright blue light shot from the moon's surface. They passed through the Cronus shields as if they weren't there. 5 Cronus ships exploded instantly. "Impossible," Dresscore shouted. "Nothing can penetrate our shields." On the Artemis *, William gave new orders. "All ships, engage with quantum disruptors." The 20 human ships fired weapons that glowed with strange purple light. More Cronus ships exploded as the mysterious weapons ignored their defenses completely. Meanwhile, a small stealth ship approached the Cronus command vessel. Inside, Lieutenant Heather Rodriguez led a team of 6 soldiers in special black armor. "Remember," Heather told her team, "we need their navigation data and battle plans. Get in, get the information, get out." Their ship attached to the Cronus vessel without being detected. Using cutting tools, they made their way inside. The alien corridors were tall and dark, made of strange metal that seemed to pulse with energy. Heather checked her scanner. "This way to their data center." They moved silently, avoiding Cronus soldiers. When they reached the data center, they found it guarded by 4 tall aliens. Heather signaled to her team. They fired darts that put the guards to sleep without a sound. "Work fast," Heather said as her technology expert connected to the alien computers. "We have 10 minutes before they know we're here." In his distant throne room, Emperor Vorthax watched the battle through a special viewing portal. His advisors stood in shocked silence as human weapons tore through their fleet. "How is this possible?" Vorthax demanded. "You told me they were primitive." Advisor Mechlor bowed low. "Emperor, they hid their true capabilities. The reports show weapons we've never seen before." Vorthax smashed his fist on his throne. "Send in the second wave. All ships. Crush them completely." But as he gave the order, more reports came in. The humans had hidden fleets emerging from the asteroid belt. Their ships were suddenly everywhere. "Emperor," Mechlor said quietly, "I believe we may have made a mistake." Vorthax stared at the battle images with growing horror. For the first time in his long life, he felt something new: doubt. Back on the Cronus command ship, Heather and her team finished downloading the critical data. As they prepared to leave, alarms began to sound. "They found us," one soldier said. Heather smiled grimly. "Then let's make sure they remember us." She set a small device on the wall. This should disrupt their communication systems for a while. As they escaped back to their ship, Heather knew the real war had only just begun. Admiral Zara Kent stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Defender *. Around her, officers worked at their stations with steady hands. Through the main view screen, she watched as hundreds of human ships emerged from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her second-in-command said. Zara nodded. "Begin Operation Hammer." The human fleet moved in a complex pattern that confused the Cronus sensors. The aliens had always fought enemies who attacked in straight lines or simple formations. Humans fought differently. "They're trying to regroup," an officer reported. "Their ships are moving to protect their center." "Just as we expected," Zara said. "Execute Maneuver Delta 6. The human ships suddenly changed direction, splitting into smaller groups that attacked from multiple angles. On the Cronus ships, alarms blared as they tried to keep track of the strange human tactics. In her laboratory deep beneath the Earth's surface, Chief Engineer Olivia Clark monitored the battle data with Dr. Adams. Their screens showed the success of their weapons, but Olivia knew they needed more. "The quantum disruptors are working," she said, "but they're already trying to adapt." Dr. Adams nodded. "Then it's time for the nanites." Olivia pressed a series of buttons. On a special pad, a container opened to reveal what looked like a cloud of silver dust. "Are you sure they're ready?" she asked. "No," Dr. Adams admitted, "but we're out of time." They sent the command. On the human ships, special launchers fired what appeared to be harmless mists toward the Cronus vessels. The tiny machines inside were too small to see with the naked eye, but each had a simple program: find Cronus technology and take it apart. On Mars, Major Frank Phillips led 5,000 soldiers across the red surface toward the main Cronus base. Their new armor let them move faster than the aliens expected. "Remember," Frank told his troops over the radio, "these aliens took our homes. Today we take them back." The Cronus had built a massive fortress on Mars, believing humans would never return. They were wrong. Frank's forces hit them from 3 sides at once. "Their weapons aren't working properly," a soldier reported. "The nanites must have reached their systems." Frank nodded. "Push forward. No mercy for those who showed none to our people." In his throne room, Emperor Vorthax received increasingly desperate messages from his fleet. His gray skin had turned pale with anger and fear. "How can they be defeating us?" he demanded. "We have conquered hundreds of worlds." Advisor Mechlor showed him new data. "The humans fight unlike any species we've encountered. They don't follow normal patterns. And these weapons," he pointed to readings of the nanite swarms, "they're destroying our ships from within." Vorthax paced, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "Send a message to their leaders. Offer a ceasefire." Minutes later, President Susan Miller received the message in her war room. Admiral Kent and General Morrison joined her by video link. "The Cronus Emperor offers to stop the attack if we agree to peace talks," Susan told them. "They're only asking because they're losing," General Morrison said. Admiral Kent nodded. "This isn't about peace. They want time to bring in reinforcements." Susan considered their words. She thought about the destroyed colonies, the dead civilians, the homes lost on Mars. "Send a response." In his throne room, Vorthax waited anxiously for the human reply. When it came, it was just 3 words. "You were warned." Vorthax roared in anger. "Launch all remaining ships. Use the planet burners if necessary. These humans must be taught their place." But even as he gave the order, new reports arrived. His ships near Jupiter were under attack from yet another hidden human fleet. The Mars base had fallen. And strangest of all, several subject species in the Empire had begun to rebel, hearing of the Cronus defeats. For the first time in 1,000 years of conquest, the Cronus Empire faced something new: the possibility of defeat. The news spread like wildfire through the Cronus Empire. On hundreds of planets, alien species who had lived under Cronus rule for generations began to whisper. Humans had stood against the Empire and were winning. If they could fight back, perhaps others could too. On the planet Viridian, the bird-like Krell people rose up against their Cronus governors. On Nexus Prime, the silicon-based Tora destroyed Cronus communication towers. Everywhere, hope spread among the oppressed. Admiral Zara Kent's fleet pushed beyond the solar system, following the retreating Cronus ships. Her flagship, the Defender led the way. "Admiral, we've reached the Proxima Centauri system," her navigator reported. "Scans show a Cronus colony world with heavy defenses." Zara studied the data. "The people of this world were conquered only 10 years ago. They might help us if we free them." The human fleet surrounded the planet, careful to target only Cronus military installations. Within hours, the local species, tall blue creatures called the Lomi, joined the humans in fighting their oppressors. The Lomi leader, a female named Shirak, met with Zara on the Defender *. "For 10 years we have suffered," Shirak said, her large eyes full of emotion. "We had given up hope until we heard about Earth." Zara nodded. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all free people. Back on Earth, scientist Patricia Henderson made a disturbing discovery. She had been studying captured Cronus technology in her laboratory when she found something strange. "Dr. Adams, you need to see this," she called out, her voice shaking. Gregory Adams joined her at her workstation. On the screen was an analysis of a Cronus power core. "It's not normal energy," Patricia explained. "It's consciousness. They're using the stored minds of conquered species to power their technology." Gregory's face went pale. "Are you certain?" Patricia nodded. "The patterns are unmistakable. Every Cronus ship, every weapon, runs on harvested minds." The horror of this discovery spread quickly among Earth's leaders. President Susan Miller called an emergency meeting. "This changes everything," she told her advisors. "We're not just fighting for our freedom now. We're fighting to free countless trapped souls." Meanwhile, Captain William Gray and the Artemis led a daring mission deep into Cronus territory. Their target was the Cronus shipyards at Tartarus, where the Empire built their most powerful vessels. "Stealth systems at maximum," William ordered as they approached. "Let's get close before they know we're here." The Artemis and 5 other ships slipped past the outer defenses. The massive shipyards filled their view screens, hundreds of half-built Cronus vessels waiting to join the war. "Deploy the special packages," William commanded. From each human ship, small drones launched toward the shipyards. Each carried a payload of nanites programmed to disable rather than destroy. "We want those ships intact," William reminded his crew. "They're filled with enslaved minds we need to free." In the Cronus Imperial Palace, Emperor Vorthax faced growing dissent among his commanders. The War Council meeting had turned heated. "We should negotiate with these humans," said Fleet Admiral Koldar. "Every day we fight, more subject worlds rebel." "Weakness," shouted War Minister Drakval. "We must use the planet killers immediately. Destroy Earth and end this." Vorthax slammed his fist down. "I will not destroy a valuable world. We need Earth's resources and people." "Then what is your plan, Emperor?" Koldar asked, his tone bordering on disrespect. Before Vorthax could answer, an aide rushed in. "Emperor, the humans have attacked the Tartarus shipyards. Our new fleet is disabled." The room fell silent. Tartarus was deep in Imperial space, supposedly unreachable by enemies. "How?" Vorthax whispered. Then louder, "How did they get past our defenses?" No one had an answer. The mighty Cronus Empire, which had ruled for thousands of years, was beginning to crumble from within. Vorthax stood, his decision made. "Prepare the planet killers. If we cannot have Earth, no one will." Earth's long-range sensors detected the Cronus planet killer fleet before it left Imperial space. 12 massive ships, each carrying weapons that could crack a planet's crust, were heading toward the solar system. Admiral Zara Kent gathered her best ships to intercept them. They met the planet killers near the edge of human space, far from Earth. "We cannot let a single one of those ships reach our solar system," Zara told her captains. "Whatever it takes, they must be stopped here." The battle was fierce. 3 human ships were destroyed in the first hour, but the Cronus lost 5 planet killers to the advanced human weapons. The battle paused as both sides regrouped. Back on Earth, Dr. Gregory Adams stood before President Susan Miller and the War Council. His face was grim as he revealed a secret project. "We call it dimensional collapse technology," he explained. "In theory, it could remove the Cronus homeworld from our reality entirely." The room fell silent. General Morrison was the first to speak. "You're talking about erasing an entire planet. Not destroying it, but making it never exist." Gregory nodded. "It's not destruction in the traditional sense. The planet and everything on it would be shifted into another dimension, including trillions of innocent beings who just happen to live under Cronus rule," Admiral Kent added from her video link. President Miller's face showed her inner struggle. "Is this what we've become? Are we willing to commit such an act, even to save ourselves? We should only consider this as our very last option, Gregory said. But I felt you needed to know it exists. Meanwhile, far in Cronus space, Captain William Gray and the Artemis had completed their mission at the shipyards, but were spotted during their escape. After a desperate chase, the Artemis was damaged and captured. William and his surviving crew were brought before Emperor Vorthax himself. The throne room was vast, with walls that seemed to be made of living metal that pulsed with stolen consciousness. I wanted to see these humans who have caused so much trouble, Vorthax said, his 4 yellow eyes studying William carefully. You don't look impressive. William stood straight despite his injuries. We rarely do, until it's too late. Vorthax leaned forward. Your species fights with unusual skill for one so young. How long have you existed as a civilization? 10,000 years. 20. About 6,000 years of recorded history, William answered. But we've been fighting each other that entire time. This caught the Emperor's interest. Fighting each other? For what purpose? William's eyes held steady. Resources, land, religion, race, sometimes just for power. Humans have killed humans in numbers you wouldn't believe. And this made you strong? Vorthax asked. It made us survivors, William replied. Your empire conquered peaceful worlds that never knew war. Humans have lived with it our entire existence. We built weapons that could destroy our own planet before we ever left it. War is in our blood. Vorthax was silent for a moment. My planet killers are on their way to your Earth. Soon your species will be just another conquered race. William shook his head. Your planet killers will never reach Earth. And even if they did, it wouldn't end there. There are human colonies you don't know about. Ships you haven't found. We would fight until the last of us was gone. He took a step closer to the Emperor, causing the guards to raise their weapons. We don't want to be monsters, William said quietly. We want peace, prosperity, freedom. Don't make us prove what we're capable of when those things are threatened. Vorthax stared at the human captain. For the first time in his long life, he felt true fear. Not of this one human, but of what humanity might do if pushed too far. You still believe you can win against an empire that has stood for 10,000 years? He asked. William's voice was cold and certain. We don't believe it. We know it. The only question is how many more have to die before you accept it. Emperor Vorthax sat alone in his private chambers. The words of the human captain echoed in his mind. For 10,000 years, the Kronos had conquered without serious challenge. Now, in just weeks, humans had pushed them to the edge of defeat. He called for his advisors. When they gathered, their faces showed fear, an emotion rare among the Kronos. Call the Imperial Conclave, Vorthax ordered. All system governors, fleet commanders, and ministers must attend. Advisor Meklor looked shocked. Emperor, the conclave has not met in 500 years. It meets now, Vorthax said firmly. As the message spread across the empire, Admiral Zara Kent received word that the remaining planet killers had turned back. She positioned the human fleet in a formation ready for one final decisive strike against the Kronos throne world. All ships report ready, her second-in-command told her. Zara nodded. And the allied fleets. On her view screen, ships of different designs appeared. Vessels from dozens of species the humans had helped liberate. The Lomi, the Krell, the Tora, and many others had joined the human cause. They're standing by, Admiral. They await your command. Zara looked at the star map showing the Kronos homeworld. One word from her would launch an attack that could end their empire forever. Hold position, she ordered. Let's see what happens next. On Earth, Dr. Adams and Engineer Clark made final adjustments to the dimensional collapse device. The small, unassuming metal sphere could reshape reality itself. I pray we never have to use this, Olivia whispered. Gregory nodded. Some knowledge should perhaps remain theoretical. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, People of all species watched their communication screens. The Imperial Conclave was being broadcast everywhere, something that had never happened before. Emperor Vorthax stood before the gathered Kronos elite. Behind him stood Captain William Gray, free of restraints, a shocking sight for the Kronos officials. For 10 millennia, we have ruled the stars, Vorthax began. We believed it was our right, our destiny. We thought all other species were beneath us. Murmurs spread through the crowd. This was not the emperor they knew. We were wrong, Vorthax continued. Look what our pride has cost us. 1/3 of our fleet destroyed. 1/4 of our subject worlds in rebellion. And for what? Because we would not listen when warned. He gestured to William. This human tried to prevent war. Their ambassador tried to prevent war. Their leaders tried to prevent war. We chose not to hear them. War Minister Drakvil stood up. This is weakness. We cannot surrender to primitives. Primitives. Vorthax laughed bitterly. They destroyed our ships with weapons we cannot understand. They turned our own technology against us. They united species that have hated each other for centuries. He faced his people. I have seen into their history. These humans have fought wars that would make even the Kronos tremble. Not against other species, but against themselves. War is in their nature in a way it never was in ours. We fight for conquest. They fight for survival. The room fell silent. I hereby decree the following. Vorthax announced. The Kronos Empire surrenders unconditionally to Earth and its allies. All conquered worlds are freed. All harvested consciousness will be released. The age of the Empire is over. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, cheers erupted on countless worlds. On Earth, President Susan Miller received the news with quiet relief. Inform Admiral Kent. Stand down from attack position. Weeks later, Admiral Kent and Captain Gray stood together on a balcony overlooking the Pacific Ocean on Earth. The sky was blue, peaceful. Was it really our weapons that made him surrender? Zara asked. William shook his head. No, it was the knowledge that we would never stop. That we couldn't stop, once truly at war. He understood what we truly meant when we said pray. Zara looked up at the stars, now filled with free worlds and new allies. What message do we send to the galaxy now? William smiled slightly. The same one, with a small change. We come in peace. Pray we can keep it that way.